Mike Marcum, an amateur inventor, tries to build a modified version of a Jacob's ladder, leading to an unexpected creation of a small vortex. Experimenting with this vortex, he notices objects disappearing and reappearing, sparking his curiosity about the potential for teleportation or time travel. Determined to explore further, Mike scales his device up, requiring more power. This ambition leads him to steal transformers from a local power company, resulting in a power outage, legal issues, and jail time. Mike's story gains public interest and catches the attention of Art Bell, a radio host known for exploring paranormal phenomena. Bell's interview with Marcum brings him support from the public, including offers of equipment and funding. With new resources, Mike builds an advanced version of his machine, capable of creating a plasma tornado. This version uses significantly more power and begins testing with objects and small animals, which disappear and reappear with some predictability. The climax of Marcum's journey occurred in 1998, when after a series of tests with guinea pigs, he decided to test the machine on himself. He vanished after jumping into the machine's generated heat signature, only to reappear in Ohio 2 years in the future. Mike attempts to rebuild his life and machine, but faces challenges without the original equipment and documentation. Upon his return to Kansas City, he found that his workspace and all his research materials had disappeared, leaving no trace of his experiments or the mechanisms behind his alleged time travel. We delve into why his journey through time didn't transport him to the year 2000, but rather concluded abruptly on April 9, 1999. Michael Marcum first garnered public attention in 1995 after his arrest on January 30th for the theft of transformers, which he claimed were for constructing a time machine. From the February 12, 1995 edition of the Kansas City Star,
instead of traveling through time, Michael Marcum is doing time. He has been in the Gentry County Jail since January 30th on a felony charge of stealing 6 350-pound transformers authorities found in his Stanbury, Missouri home. The transformers, Marcum told authorities, were needed to power a machine to transport him through the ages. He didn't say if he wanted to go backward or forward, said County Sheriff Eugene Lupfer. He just said it was a time machine. 2 other men and a teenage girl were arrested last week for allegedly helping Marcum put the devices in the back of a pickup truck and drive off with them. Henry D. Rowan Jr., 20, and Travis M. Troutwine, 19, both of Sheridan, and the 15-year-old girl were free after posting bond. The sheriff said they did not share Marcum's vision of time travel. It's been hard to keep a straight face through this case, Lupfer said. I mean, a time machine? Marcum, 21, originally is from Gallipolis, Ohio, and worked at a plant that makes cardboard tubes for toilet paper rolls, his attorney said. The sheriff said Marcum apparently has some aptitude for electronics. He had hooked up one of the transformers to the fuse box at his home and pieced together a Jacob's ladder, a V-shaped antenna with electrical sparks arcing from one side to the other. It was something to look at, Lupfer said. Stanbury police first spotted a transformer in Marcum's home in an unrelated vandalism call in mid-January. The sheriff's office then obtained a search warrant, returned to the house, and arrested Marcum on January 30th. The sheriff said 4 of the transformers, which are almost 4 feet tall, were in Marcum's living room. A 5th had been emptied of its oil and converted into a bank for pennies. The transformer hooked up to the fuse box, and Jacob's ladder had sucked away power from other homes in Stanbury, a town of 1,300 people located about 70 miles north of Kansas City. A St. Joseph Light and Power Company employee had set the transformers outside a station in King City in early January so they could be moved. Some have a capacity of up to 7,200 volts and cost about $300 each.
Marcum appeared in court for the first time on February 15th, where he chose to forego his hearing rights. From the February 16th, 1995 edition of the St. Joseph News Press.
Michael E. Marcum, the man who wanted to go through time, is going to Gentry County Circuit Court instead. Marcum, 21, waived his preliminary hearing Wednesday and was bound over to circuit court on charges of felony stealing. Marcum of Stanberry is accused of stealing up to 6 power transformers. Marcum said he needed 2 electrical devices to build a time machine. He is being held in the Gentry County Jail in lieu of $7,500 bond. He will be arraigned March 9th.
Marcum was back in court on March 9, 1995, at which time he pled guilty to the charges. From the March 10, 1995 edition of the St. Joseph News Press. Time machine inventor Michael E. Marcum has pleaded guilty to stealing electrical transformers and will spend an additional 30 days in the past. Circuit Judge John Andrews on Thursday accepted a guilty plea by Marcum, 21, and sentenced him to a total of 60 days in the 19th century Gentry County Jail.
The young inventor already had spent about a month in the jail, built circa 1874, while awaiting Thursday's hearing in Gentry County Circuit Court. Accordingly, he will serve only 30 more, county officials said. Marcum also was sentenced to 5 years probation in the case, which authorities said involved the taking of 6 St. Joseph light and power transformers from the King City area. Marcum said he was using the high voltage produced by the transformers to create a gateway into the future. His plan, he said, was to travel a few days into the future to learn winning lottery selections, then return to pick the right numbers.
His tale captured national interest, culminating in an appearance on Coast to Coast AM on April 18, 1995. Various newspapers covered his story, including this article in the April 16th issue of the Columbia Daily Tribune.
When a 21-year-old Missouri factory worker set out to make a time machine on his back porch, the contraption he came up with wasn't completely off the mark theoretically, scientists say. But the high-voltage electrical transformer Michael Marcum had hooked up to 2 vertical metal rods would more likely have killed him or blown up his house than carried him to the past or future, physicists say. Time travel, though enticingly possible in the mathematics of Einstein's theory of relativity, isn't likely in the physical universe, they say. It is a very interesting area. There are theoretical physicists working on those areas. I will not say that it's total nonsense, said Y. Yim Ching, physics department chairman at the University of Missouri-Kansas City. But it's not something you can demonstrate with batteries, Ching said of Marcum's experiment. So are Stanberry police, who say the voltage Marcum had diverted into the contraption caused power interruptions in and around the northwest Missouri town of about 1,300. Marcum had connected the metal rods to the terminals of a transformer, one of 6 stolen from a utility company in hopes of creating a large spark gap with ascending electrical arcs, investigators said. Marcum was arrested January 29th on a felony charge of stealing the transformers from a St. Joseph Light and Power generating station in King City. He pleaded guilty last month and was placed on 5 years probation. Police said the transformers had a capacity of 12,000 to 76,000 volts, each enough to easily cause electrocution or an explosion. Marcum, who told police he has 2 years of college-level electrical engineering, said he was building a time machine but didn't have enough power for it, said Stanberry Police Chief Tom Hampton, who searched Marcum's home. He's not nuts, Hampton said. He appears to be an intelligent person with a lack of common sense, maybe. Hampton said Marcum told officers he had not tried to enter the spark gap, and neither had anyone else. If anyone had, they probably would have been electrocuted, not transported in time, says physicist Roman Jacquieu, who has conducted time travel research at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, Mass. Presumably, he decided that if he got enough electricity together, he could build a time machine, because there is the concept that if you're going to do it, it's going to require an enormous amount of energy, Jackie said.
The popularity of Marcum's story led to another invitation from Art Bell to appear on Coast to Coast AM on July 20th, 1996. From the October 9th issue of the St. Joseph News Press, Northwest Missouri's premier expert on time travel has garnered national attention from radio's king of the supernatural, talk show host Art Bell. Mike Marcum, arrested last year for stealing electrical transformers to build a time machine, resurfaced recently, this time as a caller on the late-night talk show. 2 weeks ago, the 23-year-old Marcum told Mr. Bell he was 30 days away from making the time machine work. Calling from Pahrump on Tuesday, Mr. Bell said he has promised Madman Marcum that he would fly to St. Joseph to document the historic event. "If he's going to do it, we're going to videotape it," the overnight host said, without a hint of laughter. Apparently, Mr. Marcum has gotten better at his electrical wizardry in the year since his arrest in Gentry County. "He sent a cat a block away," said Al Brown, a landlord of the Time Wizard. But alas, in June, after Mr. Marcum burned out the air conditioning unit in his Midtown apartment and zapped the electricity out of the building, Mr. Brown did not renew his lease. Mr. Marcum, who is said to have built his own transformers and received materials from a major auto manufacturing company, has since disappeared. Friends say they haven't seen him in 2 weeks. Perhaps he was ahead of his 30-day schedule and didn't take the time to tell anyone. Following his second radio appearance, Marcum's story vanished from the public eye until a 2011 feature in the August-September issue of Nexus magazine. From that article, it was 1998 by the time Marcum decided to try the machine himself. "My main concern was, I'm bigger than a guinea pig," he said. "Though the animals always survived, I had no way of knowing what the long-term effects were, since this had obviously never been done before, and they couldn't tell me how much pain they felt, if any. Gradually, over the few months after that, I got most of my memory back," he said. It turned out that Marcum had woken up in 2000, 2 years later. "I was hoping for maybe 5 minutes ahead and up to 75 to 100 yards distance, but it ended up being a bit over 2 years and 800-plus miles." Marcum had few interactions with people in Kansas City other than his donors, and he hasn't seen his mother since 1986. "I was thinking of checking into missing persons and see if anyone there was looking for me soon after 1998, he said. "I canceled those plans after remembering I was on probation at the time and didn't check in with my parole officer for 2 years. After 13 years, I doubt police are looking for me. Otherwise, I think they'd have found me by now. The silver lining is my birth certificate. I'm 37, but biologically, I'm 35, since I skipped over 2 years of the calendar." Marcum clearly states that he woke up in the year 2000. He also mentions being very aware of being on probation at the time and was unable to check in with his parole officer between 1998 and 2000. He also states that he doubts the police are looking for him in 2011. Why is this important? From the April 11th, 1999 edition of the St. Joseph News Press.
Michael Marcum, 25, Elwood, Kansas. About 3:30 a.m. Friday by Buchanan County Sheriff's deputies on a Gentry County warrant charging him with probation violation.
This one line item from the arrest section of the St. Joseph police briefs is where the entire 2-year time travel narrative falls apart. Mike Marcum was arrested and charged with a probation violation on Friday, April 9th, 1999 at 3:30 a.m., smack dab in the middle of his missed 2 years. Unfortunately for Michael Madman Marcum, his story no longer has that silver lining since he was very much in the present for his arrest.